the leader of the 5 ancient sovereigns, possessing immense intellect, the one who calculates the world. Whether it was during the time he killed the previous sealing venerable, destroying the 4 great immortal realms, calculating the immortal Emperor Wang Lin, sending the Rune clan to search for Li Guang's arrow, or dealing with Water Pathmaster's rebellion, Sea Mage's surrender, or the death of the ancestor of the Zhan family. Behind all of these events, behind all of these people, the figure of the Palm Sovereign can be seen. Even during the time of the ancient stars, Wang Lin vaguely sensed his mind being manipulated. Upon reflecting, he was sure it was the Palm Sovereign's doing. In Wang Lin's memory, there is a divine art he cannot erase, and that is moon fishing in the well. He had once seen this technique on a person who seemed to be a clone of the Palm Sovereign during his time in the Fire Sparrow clan. When he saw the earth shatter like the surface of a well during the sealing venerable's catastrophe, Wang Lin's heart confirmed it. This was likely another moon fishing in the well. What was being fished out was the vermilion bird star and himself, Wang Lin. Moon fishing in the well. Wang Lin stood up from the water, his expression calm, gazing at the sky. The one immortal consort who had not perished under the arrow stood in a daze between the two, taking a few steps back and falling silent. If it weren't for Blue Dream's pity, you would have already become a plaything in the palm of my hand during the time of the ancient stars. The figure in black robes smiled faintly, his voice hoarse as it echoed. With a snap of his right hand, the arrow trembled and vanished within his grasp. What he feared was the power of that arrow, which was why he had delayed his appearance until after Wang Lin had shot it. The arrow was now connected to Wang Lin's internal bow, and after vanishing, it appeared in his soul in a strange manner. Had Li Guang not perished, it would have returned to his body. Tell me, where does your immortal bloodline come from? After dispersing the arrow, the figure in black robes clasped his hands behind his back and slowly walked toward Wang Lin. Each step he took caused Wang Lin's heart to tremble, and an overwhelming pressure seemed to gather on him from all directions. Even stranger, the figure in black robes appeared reflected in the water's surface, walking toward Wang Lin. This scene made it look as though there were 2 Palm Sovereigns, one in the sky, one on the ground. The pressure doubled in that instant, coming from both the heavens and the earth, squeezing down on Wang Lin, turning his face pale. His body could not move at all, as if bound by a spell. Yet his eyes remained calm. Wang Lin understood. He knew that today's calamity might be impossible to survive. He had realized this the moment the bow shot its arrow. If you won't speak, that's fine. I will find the answer from you. The figure in black robes shook his head and continued walking toward Wang Lin, his dry right hand raised and pointing at him from afar. At the moment of the point, the blue sky suddenly lost all light, replaced by a blinding golden radiance. This golden light emanated from a blazing sun that had suddenly appeared in the sky. The sun's appearance was abrupt, hanging in the sky, its primal force pervading the area. The moment it shone, the Palm Sovereign's figure darkened. As he advanced, halos of light began to form around his body. Other than that arrow, you have nothing to oppose me with. Since the dawn of the heavens and the earth, there has been light, and this light is one of the origins I have comprehended, the origin of primal rules. Under the power of this primordial force, everything within you, ancient and immortal, will be separated. The Palm Sovereign's words were ancient and full of sorrow, and with his pointing, the golden light radiating from the sun immediately condensed into a beam, suddenly enveloping Wang Lin. Under this overwhelming power, Wang Lin could not resist. The beam surrounded him, and intense pain flooded his body. The sunlight, infused with the primordial force he was familiar with, burned everything inside him, consuming the wandering souls that had entered his body. The primordial force was especially harmful to those wandering souls, whose anguished cries echoed as they were instantly destroyed. Without the wandering souls, Wang Lin's body, under the force of repulsion, began to crumble under the beam's light. At the same time, the primordial force surged deep into his collapsing flesh, forcibly separating his ancient and immortal nature. Faintly, one could see the golden light flashing in Wang Lin's body as it reassembled, attempting to burst forth from within. The agony of being forcibly separated was more intense than when he had first fused his essence. Wang Lin's expression twisted, but he uttered no sound. He only stared at the Palm's sovereign, eyes locked onto him. He had to remember everything. Remember this life and death calamity that was unfolding. If he had another life, if he survived today, then he would make this person pay for all his pain, 100-fold, 1,000-fold, even 10,000 times over. He still had a trump card left to play. This trump card, it's very likely beyond his control, but at this moment, Wang Lin couldn't care less. He was still waiting for the critical moment, waiting for his opponent to get closer, to take out this trump card that might change everything. Under Wang Lin's gaze, the man in the black robe showed no change in expression. He retracted his right hand index finger, slowly extending the other 4 fingers, forming a complete palm. After freezing Wang Lin's body and separating his Tao and the ancient with the primordial origin power, he moved closer to Wang Lin. As he approached, his right hand lifted, reaching out to grab Wang Lin. Fishing for the moon in the well. At the same moment the black-robed man acted, the figure reflected on the water also raised its hand, reaching for Wang Lin. What he sought to grab was the immortal bloodline power forcibly separated from Wang Lin's body after its fusion. As his hand moved, a tearing pain echoed within Wang Lin's body. The pain was so intense that it nearly made Wang Lin scream, but he suppressed it. His face twisted, veins bulging, his eyes bloodshot, fixated on the Palm's sovereign. Closer, a massive golden light burst out from Wang Lin's body, with endless golden blood flooding out through every pore of his body. Even within his bone marrow, the source of his blood and bloodline power, his marrow essence was forcefully pushed out, violently splintering his bones, squeezing out from the numerous cracks and gaps that had appeared earlier. In an instant, amidst the excruciating pain, Wang Lin's blood sprayed out, enveloping everything related to his immortal bloodline. The gift that Madman had given him exploded from his body in this moment. From afar, the scene was shocking. The golden blood that sprayed out from Wang Lin's body coalesced together, forming a humanoid figure, Wang Lin himself. It was as if his soul had been split. The golden figure slowly separated from Wang Lin's body, floating 7 feet above him, connected by thin golden threads that grew fewer and fewer. As the golden figure flew upward, the ancient god star mark on Wang Lin's forehead flickered, but it was no longer golden. Even the ancient demon star mark in his right eye had lost its golden light. The black-robed man's eyes gleamed with brilliance. He reached upward, grabbing at the golden figure. The golden light connecting it was suddenly severed, and the immortal bloodline was fully separated. As it separated, the golden figure writhed, condensing into a drop of golden blood that glowed with 1,000 rays of light. This drop of blood also contained the half-formed symbol of the immortal's indestructible body. It was the essence of the transformation that Madman had given Wang Lin. With the immortal bloodline gone, there was no more repulsive force. Wang Lin seemed to return to the state he was in before meeting that madman. There was a sound of bones cracking, and he became the ancient god body once again. The immortal indestructible body. This truly is the immortal indestructible body. Where did you get it? The black-robed man stared at the drop of golden blood floating above Wang Lin, his eyes filled with frenzy and excitement. But underneath, there was deep apprehension. The Palm's sovereign rarely lost his composure, and it was only this blood that could make him so shaken. He could know everything about Wang Lin, but he couldn't fathom what Wang Lin had experienced inside the netherworld beast. Moved by the moment, the Palm's sovereign stepped forward. His right hand reached out to grab the golden blood. Just then, Wang Lin's eyes glowed with cold light. He bit his tongue, spitting out a mouthful of Tao ancient blood. As the blood poured out, it transformed into a blood blade, directly opening his storage rift, from which flew a massive black pavilion. The moment the pavilion appeared, the heavens and earth darkened. Wang Lin's Tao ancient blood fell onto the pavilion, splashing against one of its windows, staining it red. In the name of Tao ancient Wang Lin, I release your seal, grant you freedom, and help me slay my enemies. With Wang Lin's cultivation, he could only open one window, releasing a powerful soul sealed by Yemo. As his voice rang out and the blood splashed down, the window of the black pavilion trembled, the sound of cracking grew louder, and it collapsed with a thunderous roar. A wild, excited howl echoed from the broken window. Damn you, Yemo. You sealed me, Crimson Soul Master, for eternity. Today I am free. With this shout, a red figure flashed out from the window. It was impossible to make out its face, only blood. As it appeared, a terrifying aura surged. The Palm Sovereign, too close, was immediately struck by the blood shadow, and was sent flying dozens of feet back, his black robe billowing, revealing his face beneath. Crimson Soul Master. The red shadow laughed wildly, not even glancing at the Palm Sovereign or Wang Lin. In the blink of an eye, it rushed toward the immortal consort, whose face changed drastically. With a swift roll, the immortal consort screamed in agony as her body was engulfed by blood. As the blood passed over her, her delicate form melted away, vanishing without a trace, devoured completely. The blood shadow continued its insane laughter, crashing into the sky with a force so fierce that it caused a flash of blue light and tore a massive hole in the celestial dome. The blood shadow shot out from the hole, continuing its chaotic journey. At that very moment, in the inner realm, on the real Vermilion Bird Star, in a city of mortals, a madman sat among a group of beggars, holding a greasy half-chicken leg. With an air of pride, he bit down hard, ignoring the envious gazes of the beggars around him. Staring at the sky, he mumbled, "Damn it, he's not here. He doesn't care about me anymore. No, I have to find him. He can't abandon me." As the hole appeared, the entire world shook violently. The sky cracked with a cacophony of sounds, revealing huge rifts that spread in all directions from the hole's edge. The sight was nothing short of awe-inspiring. At the same time, as the cracks appeared in the sky, the reflection on the water below mirrored countless fissures, causing the entire world to seem on the verge of collapse. Amidst the chaos, the sky was filled with wild laughter as the Crimson Soul Master, not paying attention to what was below, dashed through the hole and continued his maniacal laughter as he went. "You little brat, you carry the aura of the ancient Tao. I should have killed you, but since you set me free, this debt is forgiven. Ha ha, I am finally free." The Crimson Soul Master's laughter echoed as no one could stop his departure. Even the Palm Sovereign, though his gaze grew solemn, could only watch as the Crimson Soul Master slowly dissipated. Wang Lin had long expected the Crimson Soul Master's lack of control, but there was still regret. Nonetheless, the appearance of the Crimson Soul Master and his violent charge had unintentionally resolved the immediate threat to Wang Lin from the Palm Sovereign's attempt to seize the golden blood floating above his head. At the same time, the Crimson Soul Master's actions had shattered the sealing prison, causing the entire world to tremble and allowing Wang Lin's body, previously constrained, to move freely. Quickly, Wang Lin raised his right hand and grabbed the droplet of blood floating above him. This blood, a manifestation of his immortal indestructible body, was pure and concentrated with the power of his immortal bloodline. It could no longer be stored in the storage rift, so he held it in his hand, his body swiftly moving toward the hole in the sky. "Break through this place. If I survive this life and death tribulation, I can make it through." Wang Lin's eyes gleamed with madness as he rushed toward the hole, heedless of everything. The primordial force of the Palm Sovereign, along with the moon fishing art, had caused the separation of the ancient and immortal within Wang Lin. His original goal was to acquire the drop of blood formed by the immortal body, which, though not directly brought out by Wang Lin, could be obtained through his own methods. However, due to the Crimson Soul Master's appearance, Wang Lin was forced back several dozen feet. Although it seemed like he hadn't been injured, in the great hall of the ancient star, his true body, sitting cross-legged, coughed up a second mouthful of blood. The first mouthful was when he had squeezed the arrow earlier. Being forced back like this meant he missed the opportunity to obtain the blood, but it wasn't the worst outcome. His ancient and immortal states had not fully merged, and the repulsive force felt like a blade hanging over him. His body was on the verge of collapse, putting him in great danger. However, at this moment, the separation of the ancient and immortal energies by the Palm Sovereign had unknowingly neutralized the repulsive force in Wang Lin's body, causing that blade to vanish. Such is the way of the world. Every loss carries with it a gain. Wang Lin had lost the immortal body and immortal bloodline, but at the same time, his body returned to its ancient god physique. Without the repulsive force, the incredible regenerative power of his ancient god physique spread throughout his body. His internal organs, which had been lost, faintly reappeared, and the injuries on his body began to heal rapidly. Inside him, his essence spirit appeared. Though weakened, it was no longer accompanied by the endless pain that had plagued him before. He felt lighter, as if a burden had been lifted. At the same time, the golden blood, a product of the immortal body, had not been taken by the Palm Sovereign but remained in Wang Lin's hand. If he survived this crisis, he would not forcibly fuse it. That kind of fusion was impossible to coexist and would only worsen until it led to death, like a deadly poison. Wang Lin planned to refine it into a magical artifact, a treasure of the immortal body. By integrating it into his body, he could avoid the repulsive force and unleash its power. Previously, Wang Lin was bestowed with a great fortune by that madman. He had no choice but to passively absorb it and attempt to fuse with it. If he had the option, he would never attempt to merge ancient and immortal with his current cultivation. Not to mention him, even in the madman's world, no one in history has ever been able to do this. The outcome of forcibly doing so would only be death. But now, the life and death tribulation brought to Wang Lin by that Palm Sovereign had invisibly resolved this crisis. The heavenly tribulation is a tribulation, yet it is also a blessing. These thoughts flashed through Wang Lin's mind as his body surged forward like a gust of wind. At the same time, as the crack appeared, all the surrounding aura exploded from the gap. It was as though in a house on earth, where the night shrouded the room in darkness and the owner was asleep, a thief was moving in the shadows. But at that very moment, the lights in the room suddenly brightened, illuminating everything clearly. At this moment, the once hidden sealing ground, which had not been discovered by the powerful beings of the realm, could no longer be concealed. Its aura, upon the appearance of the crack, was sensed by many powerful figures from the realm in an instant. In the Cloud Sea battle platform, Hong Shanzi was refining the powerful being he had obtained from the Zhao River's seven-colored realm. He vaguely noticed something unusual within its soul. While observing carefully, his expression suddenly shifted. He looked up into the distance, and his face changed drastically. Not good. Without hesitation, Hong Shanzi immediately withdrew the puppet he was refining, took a step forward, and a ripple spread beneath his feet as he used all his speed to vanish in an instant. At the same time, Heavy Xuanzi's master also woke up from meditation. His pupils contracted, and without thinking, he quickly dissipated into the heavens and earth. In the Kungsu Star Domain, in the Renegade Immortal realm, Qing Lin was in seclusion to heal. The room he was in was filled with swirling mist, emitting faint dark light. But at this moment, his eyes suddenly opened, revealing shock. Palm Sovereign. His face darkened, and his right hand quickly tore apart the air in front of him, creating a rift. His body swayed and disappeared in an instant. Meanwhile, in the Yin Moon Sect's region within Kungsu Star Domain, Nin Yunzi was focused on refining a set of battle flags. This set of flags was a powerful treasure he had forged for the upcoming war. However, as he was refining, Nin Yunzi suddenly raised his head, his expression changing drastically. He sensed the sealing aura of the ancient star. Without hesitation, he stepped out. The powerful beings from Zhao River also noticed this aura and rushed to action. In the Luo Tian Star Domain, within the vast star sea, a figure in a blue robe walked silently, gazing ahead with a somber expression, as if searching for something. However, in the end, there was no sign of it. This person was Qing Shui. He sighed lightly and was about to move forward when suddenly, he turned around. His expression shifted in an instant, and he stared intently at the direction of the Kungsu Star Domain behind him. Wang Lin. After sensing the faint aura permeating the realm, Qing Shui no longer focused on his own matters. His eyes turned cold, filled with murderous intent, and with a single step, he charged toward Kungsu. Within the Zhao River Star Domain, the young man who had walked out during Wang Lin's heavenly tribulation had still not found what he was searching for. Perplexed, he sat cross-legged in the starry sky of the region he had suspected. But suddenly, his eyes gleamed with golden light. He raised his head and gazed into the distance at Kungsu. His eyes narrowed, and in a single step, the starry sky rippled, and he vanished. In the Thunder Immortal realm of Luo Tian's star domain, a deafening roar suddenly erupted. The mysterious and unfathomable war ghost stepped out of the Thunder Immortal realm, his body flashing as he sped toward Kungsu. At the same time, powerful figures from all directions sensed the opening of the seal when Crimson Soul Master struck it, and they immediately moved toward Kungsu. The winds howled and the stars trembled. Everything happened in an instant. In fact, just as Wang Lin was about to step into the crack, he was nearing it when the Palm Sovereign's eyes flashed with a strange light. He would never allow this plan to fail. Despite the changes that had occurred, despite the crack in the seal, despite the powerful beings in the realm, especially the war ghost, whom he feared, or even the mysterious figure who had shouted years ago, all of them could sense it in an instant. But he would not let go. Blue Dream, do not forget our agreement. I will retrieve your wife's body for you. The Palm Sovereign's voice was calm as he spoke, and at the same time, his withered right hand raised, pointing at the sky. As his words echoed, a sigh seemed to come from the sky. When Wang Lin stepped forward into the crack, a surge of blue light erupted from the gap, forming a massive blue barrier that forcibly stopped Wang Lin's steps. The blue glow flashed and, in a single motion, sent Wang Lin flying inward. He had once said he would not intervene, but now, he did. As he made his move and blocked Wang Lin's escape, any bond between him and Wang Lin was severed, leaving no trace of past ties, completely cut off. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a complicated expression. In the instant his body was sent flying back, he saw the Palm Sovereign in the distance. As the Palm Sovereign raised his right hand to the sky, a red light spread across the heavens. Under the red light, a flash of orange light appeared, followed by a burst of dazzling, multicolored light that covered the entire sky. The endless multicolored light intertwined in an instant. As it merged, a massive multicolored spear manifested above the Palm Sovereign with a thunderous roar that shook the very earth. With his dry right hand, the Palm Sovereign gripped the spear tightly. He cast a cold glance at Wang Lin, then flung the spear toward him with a violent motion. The spear whistled through the air, carrying an aura of destruction that could annihilate everything in its path. It was a force Wang Lin had no hope of resisting, racing toward him with terrifying speed. This was the Spear of Death. Wang Lin understood that the Spear of Death possessed the power to destroy the world, much like the world incinerating umbrella. Both were supreme divine arts beyond the reach of this realm. Under this spear, all the scenery before Wang Lin vanished, replaced by an endless, blinding multicolor. Despair filled his heart as he felt the overwhelming sense of death consume his very being. Wang Lin knew he couldn't escape, couldn't resist. This final multicolored spear was the true catastrophe of life and death. In his mind, a vision of the helpless white, soaring bird appeared, the same bird he had seen on the mountain peak. Amidst the pouring rain and the swirling dark clouds, the bird struggled in desperation, unwilling to give in. Yet, it was eventually swallowed by the dark clouds, vanishing without a trace. The bird symbolized the great calamity of life and death. As the sky was enveloped by the multicolored light, the spear closed in on Wang Lin with terrifying speed. Bitterly, he understood. This trial was one he could not survive. Father, Mother, Iron Pillar is so tired. Come, let me join you. In Wang Lin's eyes, the despair faded, replaced by a sense of release. He was so tired of everything. He just wanted to rest, to close his eyes, to live a simple life as an ordinary person, free from the constant threat of life and death. He longed for a life where he wouldn't have to struggle against fate, where he wouldn't bring harm to his parents, where they wouldn't have to watch him grow old with white hair, crying at their graves. He would rather know nothing at all. He didn't know there were cultivators on Vermilion Bird Star. He didn't know there were many cultivation nations outside Zhao Kingdom. He didn't know that Vermilion Bird Star and the Alliance Star Domain had sealed Vermilion birds. He didn't want to know that there were countless cultivation stars outside Vermilion Bird Star, many even more powerful than it. He didn't want to know that all of this was under the influence of the Cultivation Alliance, which itself was centered in the Kungsu Star Domain. He didn't want to know that beyond the Kungsu Star Domain lay Luo Tian, the Sea of Clouds, and Zhao River. He didn't want to know that all of this was just within the realm, and beyond it was a vast universe, an outer world, where ancient stars called to the infinite. As Wang Lin walked on, he began to faintly realize that beyond all this, there was something more. It's over. I am freed. Muin, I'm sorry. I couldn't wake you up in the end. Pinger, I'm sorry. I did my best. Bitterly, Wang Lin closed his eyes. These were the final thoughts racing through his mind, the last reflection before death, as the multicolored spear approached with a deafening roar. In the final moment, as his eyes closed, his chest tore open, blood and flesh ripped apart, and his appearance twisted in agony. Dust to dust, earth to earth. As Wang Lin's eyes shut, visions of his past began to flood his mind. In the courtyard, his father sat smoking a pipe, placing it aside. As he exhaled a puff of smoke, he carefully carved a small wooden horse, a birthday gift for his son, Iron Pillar, who was turning 7. A gentle smile adorned his face. Wang Lin crouched next to him, resting his chin on his hands, eyes sparkling with excitement as he watched the wooden horse take shape. In his eyes, his father was omnipotent, the very sky, capable of doing anything. Nearby, his mother, holding a dustpan, fed the chickens and ducks, occasionally looking back at the father and son. A soft, warm smile filled her eyes. The scene slowly faded, breaking into countless fragments. As those fragments reassembled, a peaceful mountain valley appeared, surrounded by lush greenery. In the valley, a wooden house stood. Li Muin sat before it, her long hair tied up in a womanly style. Her beautiful face radiated happiness as she gazed lovingly at the man before her, the one she had waited for so long, finally able to silently watch him, waiting for an eternity. She gently stroked the ancient zither in front of her, playing soft and delicate notes. As the music swirled, Wang Lin, much like his father once did, held a piece of wood in his hands, gazing tenderly at Li Muin as he carved it. Their eyes met, and in that moment, it seemed as if the valley itself was filled with an indescribable aura, one that lingered and left an unforgettable impression. The scene slowly faded, shattered into fragments before coming together once more. It formed a towering mountain, its peak howling in the fierce wind. Wang Lin silently stood at the summit, his figure emanating loneliness and decline. He gazed ahead, his expression hiding a deep sorrow. Though it was concealed, it still subtly emanated from his silhouette, slowly settling in the eyes of a young boy behind him. The boy, dressed in a coarse cloth robe, stood behind his father. Despite the fierce mountain wind, it turned gentle as it blew against him, as though his father were a great mountain, supporting him against the world. With his father by his side, he had no fear of the towering peaks beneath his feet or the wind rustling through the mountain grass. With his father there, he feared nothing. Father, Pinger will be with you for all eternity, never depart. The boy gazed at his father's back and whispered earnestly. The final image in his mind shattered, along with Wang Lin's body. The 7-colored spear howled through the air, hurtling toward Wang Lin, growing closer. But just then, a voice suddenly rang out from the sky, emerging from a hole covered by blue light. The voice was so abrupt that even the blue light couldn't block it, and it clearly reached through. In that instant, as the voice echoed through the heavens, the Palm Sovereign's expression changed drastically. His eyes, once unshakable, revealed an unprecedented terror. Even when the Crimson Soul Master appeared, he hadn't reacted like this. But now, after hearing this single word, he seemed to collapse mentally, instinctively retreating. His expression showed disbelief, and a profound fear he couldn't conceal overtook him. Haha, I finally found you, damn it. You've ignored me for so long, I won't stand for it. Inside the blue light, the madman, holding a half-eaten chicken leg, walked out with a smug expression. As he appeared, a blinding golden light radiated from his body. The Palm Sovereign's expression shifted once more, his centuries of cultivation crumbling in that instant. Master! Master! The Palm Sovereign almost lost his soul, staring at the madman, his face turning pale. As the madman spoke, his gaze fell on the unconscious Wang Lin, saw the 7-colored spear howling away, and heard the thunderous boom as it engulfed Wang Lin's body in a blinding light. The madman froze for a moment, then let out a thunderous roar, ignoring the Palm Sovereign. With a single step, his body was engulfed in golden light, charging toward the spot where Wang Lin's body was covered by the seven-colored spear's aura. "You can't die? You promised to take me to many places to play." The madman roared in madness, rushing into the light and grabbing hold of Wang Lin's disintegrating body. The seven-colored spear, embodying destructive force, exploded the moment the madman embraced Wang Lin. The terrifying power of the spear intensified in 7 stages, with each explosion amplifying the previous one. Boom, boom, boom. The deafening sounds erupted one after another, growing louder each time. After the 7th explosion, the heavens trembled, and the sky itself was torn apart. Even the waters below exploded in an instant, and the sealed heavens shattered, scattering in all directions like a violent storm. This storm tore through the heavens, the starry sky, and all existence. Beneath the stars, a black hole vortex appeared, its depths shrouded in darkness, leading to an unknown destination. The madman, possessing the complete, immortal, indestructible body, endured multiple breakdowns of his body during the collapse. But eventually, holding the unconscious Wang Lin, they were both sucked into the black hole vortex amidst the devastating storm of the seven-colored spear's power, disappearing without a trace. Amidst the chaos of the storm and the crumbling world, the Palm Sovereign's figure gradually blurred. He stared vacantly at the place where the black hole vortex had vanished and muttered to himself, "He's really gone mad, truly gone mad." The immortal, indestructible body must have been taught to Wang Lin by him. If he hadn't lost his mind, he would never have done this. He was already severely wounded, and with his personality, he would never have saved someone. He really has gone mad. He doesn't recognize me anymore." The Palm Sovereign sighed in resignation as his figure faded away. But in the instant he dissipated, a figure silently stepped forward beside him. It was none other than the War Ghost. The moment he appeared, his right hand lifted and pointed at the blurred silhouette of the Palm Sovereign. The Palm Sovereign whipped around, but his dazed state moments before had dulled his vigilance. It was too late to dodge. With a muffled groan of pain, his form violently collapsed and vanished without a trace. The War Ghost frowned, gazing at where the black hole vortex had once been, his eyes full of contemplation. This sealing ground had been created through the combined efforts of the mighty from the ancient star of antiquity. Even with the guidance of that cavernous aura, he had not been able to arrive instantly. There had still been a brief delay. One step too late. A pity, that immortal body's blood. And that madman. Could it be the one from his memories? I didn't expect. He truly has gone mad. They've been devoured by the black hole. The aura it emitted just now, that was clearly the wall of the mansion realm. One step into immortal aura, one step into this place. The War Ghost fell silent, shook his head, and turned to leave. That dust was the site where Wang Lin faced his sealing venerable tribulation. After the War Ghost vanished, the ripples in the starry sky outside Vermilion Bird Star continued to spread, more and more of them, until they blanketed the entire sky. Within those ripples, one figure after another hurriedly emerged. Red Fur Master, Southern Cloud Master, Qing Lin, Qing Shui, and others. They did not arrive all at once, but came one after another. Waves of powerful divine sense swept out layer upon layer, finally locking onto the place where the dust had crumbled. All of them fell silent. They could no longer sense Wang Lin's aura. Just like the time he disappeared in the past, it felt as if he had died. "He is not dead." Red Fur Master spoke at last after a long silence, sorrow glimmering in his eyes. "A great war is about to break out. This incident will spread far and wide across the outer realm." Qing Lin sighed softly, his gaze fixed on the shattered dust, scenes from the past with Wang Lin flashing through his mind. Qing Shui looked up at the distant stars, a sharp glint in his eyes. A murderous aura surged from his body and spread outward. "I will enter seclusion on the Cloud Sea battle platform in his stead." He closed his eyes, and slowly, his features began to change, until he had transformed into Wang Lin's likeness. His cold and indifferent demeanor bore an uncanny resemblance. He gave up the search for his daughter. He gave up his freedom. Instead, he chose to become Wang Lin, taking his place in seclusion atop the battle platform, becoming a symbol. "Junior brother, I will give you an answer for this. Anyone involved in this, as long as there's even the slightest chance. I, Qing Shui, will risk everything to avenge you." His closed eyes concealed the sorrow buried deep within. Everyone who had arrived at the sight of this tribulation now understood in their hearts. Wang Lin could not have escaped. This killing strike was clearly a long-planned scheme by those from the outer realm, one that had bypassed their senses to deliver this fatal blow. Wang Lin had almost no chance of survival. As the silence lingered, the crowd gradually dispersed. Yet the rage they carried within burned like a fire, growing fiercer by the moment. In the distance, Vermilion Bird Star continued to emit its gentle starlight, as if it had never changed. Upon it, those who had once known Wang Lin remained immersed in their own worlds, unaware of what had occurred. Zhou Wutai still sat atop the Vermilion Bird statue, silently drinking. Within the imperial ancestral city of the Zhao Kingdom, in that ancient courtyard and old house, the grave still stood in solitude. But before it, there was no longer that sorrowful, weeping figure. Only a few empty wine jugs remained on the ground, none of them filled with the Zheng family's brew. Only the colossal statue on Vermilion Bird Star, holding the heaven-cleaving axe, stared blankly at the sky, as though it had become eternal. Days later, a young man with a cold expression stood quietly beneath the statue. Slowly, he knelt, and as he bowed, tears streamed down his face. "Master, I, 13, will one day, before all under the heavens, declare that I am your disciple." Days later, a beautiful young woman appeared. With tear-filled eyes and an aging tiger at her side, she gently caressed the stone mountain that was the statue. Tears slipped down her cheeks and fell to the ground. "Uncle, I am Zhou Little Ruer." Days later, a burly man stood before the statue, laughing loudly. But as he laughed, tears welled up. He held 2 jugs of wine, as though ready to drink with the statue. After he drank, he wept. "If only I hadn't guided you down the cultivation path back then. If only we hadn't met. If only I hadn't taken your heaven-reversing pearl. If only you had remained that innocent boy." Days later, an exquisitely beautiful woman stood silently before the statue. She stood there for a very long time, gazing at it in a trance. Sunrise to sunset, sunset to sunrise. Again and again, until finally, she turned and left. As she did, 2 tears fell to the ground and shattered. She was Mu Bingmei. Several days later, a woman dressed in a pink water silk dress, weary and fatigued, arrived at the Vermilion Bird Star. Upon seeing the statue, a look of reminiscence appeared in her eyes. "You may not recognize me, but I recognize you." Days passed, then months. The passage of time was forgotten, like the moments lost in the void, endless, without a clear endpoint. All that remained were 2 broken bodies. Here, in this pitch-black void, there was no life, no existence, just a deathly silence that stretched on for eternity. Amidst this void, a faint blood-red glow emerged. The blood color shone with golden light, enveloping it into a halo. Within this circle of light, Wang Lin's body was crumbling, covered in countless scars. Beside him lay the madman, eyes tightly shut, face as pale as ash. His body showed no wounds, but on his forehead, there was a ball of 7-colored light. This 7-colored light transformed into a long spear. Though it could not harm the madman's indestructible body, it could strike at the soul, the very essence that had been left unprotected after his near-fatal injury all those years ago. This blood-colored halo was formed from the golden blood that Wang Lin had once held. It gently wrapped them both inside. Wang Lin struggled to open his eyes. He didn't know how long he had been asleep, but he understood that his awakening was but a fleeting moment. In bitterness, Wang Lin saw the unconscious madman beside him. His eyes softened with tenderness. With a faint sigh, he weakly raised his right hand and waved several times in front of him. This opened a storage rift. 3 Dao fruits flew out. He inhaled them, and the fruits shrank down, eventually transforming into 3 rays of light. These rays, carrying vast, unimaginable, and tangled Dao thoughts, entered Wang Lin's mouth. Wang Lin's eyes gleamed with the final, most powerful light of his life. Exhausted, he lifted his index finger. Holding the madman's hand with his left, as if connecting their beings, he gently pressed his index finger to his own forehead. dreamed out. With the last vestige of his strength, he activated his self-created divine art for the third time, Dream Dao. Using the Dream Dao technique upon himself, he journeyed back 1,000 years in a dream. In this dream, he aimed to fully complete his three core sources of life and death, cause and effect, truth and falsehood. His right hand dropped helplessly, and Wang Lin closed his eyes. Little brother, wake up. Sai, how could you get so drunk like this? My inn is about to close. Wake up quickly. By the roadside, in a shabby inn, a young man wearing a simple blue cloth jacket pushed a drunken youth who was slumped over a table, frustrated. This really is a scholar. After just 2 drinks, he's completely wasted. The innkeeper pushed harder. The world and heaven are but a transient inn for all things. Time is but a passing guest for all generations. And life is but a dream. How little joy it brings. How little joy does it bring? The drunken youth, his eyes blurred, looked up at the innkeeper, grinning foolishly. Let me tell you. I just had a dream. I dreamt that I became an immortal, the youth said, and then collapsed onto the ground, falling into a deep sleep.